Hola clase, ¿cómo están ustedes? Hoy vamos a hacer saber or conocer. So we just got done doing ser or a star, and now we are going to do the same thing of deciding when you use saber or conocer, which both mean to know. Pero primero vamos a hacer repaso. We're going to do some review. So in our last lesson, we did ser y estar. So just to remember, you use ser with la fecha, ocupación, características, el tiempo, origen, y relaciones. So you use ser with date, occupation, characteristics, time, origin, relation. And I use the acronym DOCTOR to help me remember that. And with a star, I use the acronym PLACE. So posición, locación, acción, condición, emoción. Ay, Dios mío, muchos cognados, ¿no? There were just so many cognates there. So, how you feel and where you are. I always use the verb estar. Yo estoy bien. Estoy cansada de invierno y estoy en mi oficina. Estoy cansada. Estoy en mi oficina. So I'm tired and I'm in my office. So that's what I use the verb estar. How I feel and where I am. Vamos. So remember, also depending on whether you use ser or estar, your definition can change. So aburrido, yo soy aburrida. I'm a boring person. Estoy aburrida. I'm bored. Soy lista. Soy lista. I'm clever. Estoy lista. I'm ready to go. Soy rico. I'm rich. No soy profesora. No soy rica. Ay, la comida está rica. The food is really delicious. So again, just note the changes. Yo soy verde. Like, I am not good. I am just beginning something, that I'm not good at something. Verde no está maduro. Or green also. Green is just in the color. I was thinking way too deeply in that. But green is in not ripe for a star. Okay, so just remember that the meanings can change as well. Vamos a practicar nacionalidades. So recuerda, con nacionalidades usa ser. So yo soy de Bogotá. Yo soy chilena. Yo soy de Bogotá. Yo soy mexicana. So I'm saying I'm from Bogotá. I am, and then I'm trying to get you to guess the nationality. Colombiano, colombiana. Muy bien. Excelente. Yo soy de San Salvador. Yo soy salvadoreña. So we did this maybe in your 4th week of Spanish 101. So that's why I'm just kind of throwing a couple things here and there for you to remember. Soy de Madrid. Soy española. Muy bien. Soy de Quito. Soy ecuatoriana. Muy bien. Excelente. So anytime you're talking about origin, nacionalidades, yo soy estadounidense. I'm a United Statesian, American. And the reason why we can't just say American, I mean, you can, but I was in Costa Rica or Nicaragua jungle once, and someone said, ¿De dónde eres? Or I said, oh, yo soy americana. I'm American. And they're like, well, I'm American too. Because anyone living in Central America would be American. Anyone living in South America would also be American. Anyone living in North America would also be American. And so it really kind of made me think about my word choices. So estadounidense means I'm from the United States. Flamenco. So again, we're still just practicing between ser and a star. And I want you to pick between ser and a star. And then I also want you to pick the nacionalidad. So flamenco, blank, un baile, blank. So, I mean, I just was talking about nacionalidades and how you use the verb ser with nacionalidades. So hopefully that's kind of ringing a bell. So flamenco, Another way to do it, and it doesn't always work, you could say flamenco es un baile, flamenco está un baile. Which one sounds better? Oh, I gotta change my bottom part here, but it doesn't. I'm gonna do it right in front of you. Flamenco es un baile. Español. So if you were not aware of flamenco, it's got a lot of clapping and stomping. It's super passionate. It comes from the south of Spain, from Los Gitanos. Los Gitanos is also in English called the gypsies. Oftentimes gypsies live on the outskirts of society, on the outskirts of cities. This is where flamenco was created, in the caves of Granada. So vamos a ver un video. So if you're not sure exactly what flamenco is, this will give you a better idea. But it goes back a long time, and it's a way of expressing themselves, a way to heal their pain. Also, just an incredible artistic expression of dance and music. And at one point it was illegal. The Catholic Church had prohibited flamenco because they said it was too sexy. And so for a long time it had a bad connotation with it, but then eventually rich people started hiring flamenco dancers at their parties, and it became more mainstream, more acceptable, where it wasn't prohibited by law anymore. And so this was just a recent performance that I saw in Granada a couple of years ago to give you a better idea of what flamenco is. I just love how passionate it is. I'm going to show you a female dancer. This would be a typical dress from a female. So we are actually in the caves of Granada, and this is where the gypsies would often live. And so this cave is over 100 years old. They've been performing here. They live here. So really, really amazing. If you get a chance to see flamenco, please do it. It is so passionate, so amazing, and very Spanish. So, Oniva, we are going to continue on. Okay, El Taj Mahal. Are you going to use ser or a star for the Taj Mahal? ¿En dónde está el Taj Mahal? And actually just gave away the answer. El Taj Mahal está en India. El Taj Mahal está en India. So anytime you're talking about the location of something, you're always going to use a star. So El Taj Mahal está in India. What is the Taj Mahal? It was a shrine that was made to somebody's wife who passed away too early, out of a sign of his affection for her. I love it. Qué romántico, no? Homer. How you feel and where you are, always use Homer está contento, right? We're talking about his emotions. Jackson Hole. Where you are, está in Wyoming. Jackson Hole está in Wyoming. Yo quiero visitar Jackson Hole un día. I would love to visit there someday. Bob está frustrado. Talking about feelings. Okay. So hopefully this is a little bit better of an idea of using ser and a star. I used a lot of examples with a star, though. La Paz y el Sucre están en Bolivia. Muy bien. So, vamos a hacer saber conocer. So both of these mean to know. They are both irregular in the yo form and then follow the regular conjugation of an ER verb. You would be familiar if you don't know how to say, I don't know. Yo no sé. No sé. Yo sé la respuesta. I know it. No lo sé. I don't know it. So sometimes it's a common phrase that a lot of people know when they're learning Spanish. Yo conozco is the yo form in the conocer, and then we just conjugate it like a regular ER verb throughout. So only the yo form is irregular. So it's yo sé, sabe, sabe, sabemos, sabéis, saben. Conozco, conoces, conoce, conocemos, conocéis, conocen. Y los dos significan to know. So they both mean to know, but in different contexts. So saber means to know in the sense of knowing facts or specific bits of information. Por ejemplo, yo sé que la capital de España es Madrid. I know for a fact that Madrid is the capital of Spain. So knowing facts or specific bits of information, you're going to use saber. So when followed by an infinitive, it expresses to know how to do something. An infinitive is an unchanged verb. So you see it underlined here. Yo sé hablar. Hablar is the verb is not conjugated. It's in its infinitive. Say is in a conjugated form, right? So the infinitive of say is saber. So if I know how to do something, yo sé hablar español. I know how to speak Spanish. Yo sé conducir un coche. I know how to drive a car. Yo sé preparar comida italiana. I know how to prepare Italian food. Maria sabe que la capital de Peru es Lima. Again, knowing facts. So these are two hints. So anytime you see, I'm going to show you some examples when you're just trying to get a hold of it, of things that are going to catch your attention so you know which one to use. Now, if you mess up, whoop-de-ding. People are going to understand you and eventually you will make that correction. So don't be afraid or hold back at all. That's a part of el proceso, no? So conocer also means to know, but expresses familiarity or acquaintances with people. So it's to be familiar with somebody, to be familiar with a place, which is different than like knowing information, right? So you're familiar with people, you're familiar with places, and you're familiar with things. So when used with people, it can also mean to meet for the first time, depending on the contexto. So yo conozco a Juan. Anytime I'm talking about knowing human beings, I'm going to use conocer. And there's always this thing called the personal a that is put there. It doesn't exist in English, but it always comes before a name. And so it's always a good clue of you're going to use conocer in this contexto. Marisol conoce la ciudad de Madrid. Marisol knows the city of Madrid. So she's familiar with the city. She knows how to get around the city. Yo conozco bien Buffalo. I'm very familiar with Buffalo. Yo conozco bien Amsterdam. I know Amsterdam very well. So you guys have this small assignment. What I want you guys to do, we're going to do, is indicate whether you would use saber, whether it would be knowing facts or knowing how to do a skill, or you would use conocer because you're familiar with things, you're familiar with the place, you're familiar with the people, or you're meeting someone for the first time. So número uno, conozco a tu papá. I know your dad. So be knowing people. Muy bien. Número dos, sabemos dónde vives. Sabemos dónde vives. We know where you live. Knowing facts or specific bits of information. Número tres, ellos conocen la ciudad de Nueva York. Ellos conocen la ciudad de Nueva York. Very good. D, so that would be being familiar with a place. Número cuatro, hoy voy a conocer al nuevo profesor. Today, I am going to meet the new professor. So F, meeting somebody for the first time. Voy a conocer, I am going to meet. Número cinco, no sé la respuesta correcta. No sé. I don't know. So that would be A, knowing facts or specific bits of information. Número seis, ¿ustedes saben bailar la salsa? Do you know how to dance the salsa? or salsa dance. That would be knowing how to do something. Número 7, conozco las películas de Javier Bardem. Are you familiar with the movies of Javier Bardem? Javier Bardem es un director español super popular. He's a really popular Spanish director, so definitely check out any of his movies. They're excellent. Número 8, sé hablar japonés. So again, we have the infinitive. I know how to speak japonés. B, to know how to do something. Sé que te gusta esta clase. I know that you like this class. That's knowing information. Conoces los poemas de Poe. Anytime you're asking somebody if they're familiar with a musician, an artist, music, you would use conocer. Are you familiar with us? Número 11. Ellos saben que tú eres antipático. They know that you are not nice. Letra A. Muy bien. Antipático, what's the opuesto? What's the opposite? Simpático. Muy bien. Número 12. ¿Vosotros conocéis Florida? Are you all familiar with Florida? Okay. So you guys have a couple of examples that you can start doing. Why don't you take a second to do those? And then I will go over las respuestas. I will go over those answers. You guys are going to pick between conocer and saber. So conocer is being familiar with people, places, things. Saber is knowing information or specific facts or knowing how to do something. Okay, so just go ahead, give it a second, and we will go over those answers. So numero uno, I'm going to give you a hint. Every time you see the personal a, you're going to use conocer. So that is a hint. Okay, yo conozco a Juan y Maria. Also, with conocer, we know we're familiar with people. Juan y Maria are people, and so that makes it a little bit easier. Número dos, yo blank tu nombre. Yo sé tu nombre. I know your name. Maria sabe donde vivo. She knows where I live. Número 4, ellos no blank esquiar. Esquiar means to ski, and it's in its infinitive. So anytime you have a verb in its infinitive, you know that you're going to use saber. Also, they know how to ski. Ellos no saben esquiar. They don't know how to ski. Mario blank un restaurante bueno. Mario conoce un restaurante bueno. It would be more likely that you'd say, I am familiar with a good restaurant. I know a good restaurant. Again, if you said sabe, people would get the point. Ella blank Bogotá. Ella conoce Bogotá. She's familiar with Bogotá. Número 7. Yo conozco el parque. I'm familiar with the park. Remember, you're familiar with people, places, and things. Here we have our letra A. Mi papá conoce a tu papá. My dad knows your dad. Número 9. Blank tu el nombre de un cantante español. Uy, I think you could also say, so do you know the name of a Spanish singer? That's knowing information. Now, if I asked you specifically about a singer and I asked you if you're familiar with them, that would be different. So just see how this gets a little bit tricky. Número 10, blank ella la ciudad de Madrid. Conoce ella la ciudad de Madrid. Número 11, la profesora conoce la música. She's familiar with the music. Juan sabe cocinar. This cocinar is in its infinitive. He knows how to cook. Número 13, nosotros sabemos hablar español. Again, we have the infinitive. Número 14, yo sé bailar el tango. I know how to dance the tango. Número 15, mi hermana conoce a Maria bien. My sister knows Maria well. Número 16, ellos no conocen a Juanito. Número 17, yo Sé que la capital de Puerto Rico es San Juan. I know the capital of Puerto Rico is San Juan. Contexto. Everything is contexto. Número 18. Nosotros conocemos la ciudad de Madrid. We are familiar with Madrid. Espero que ustedes sepan un poco más. I hope that you guys know a little bit more than you did coming into this. Again, todo es práctica. We'll practice a little bit more going into the next lesson, but between ser and estar, saber and conocer. And then our next lesson is por or para. So again, we have another comparison. So es un poco complicado. But if you're too stressed out, always take a siesta, regroup. It's going to be fine. It's just Spanish class. We're on a floating rock. If you need help, reach out. I'm happy to help. Estoy contenta ayudarte. Que tenga buen día y nos vemos pronto. Chao.